So in this guide, you'll create a 2D tile map in Python Tkinter that you can zoom in and out of. So we have our map here. You see we have like a little grassy area, and so I'm just going to zoom out. And as you can see, as we zoom out, we have like these little patches of water, and we can move around on the map, of course. And so that's what we're going to be creating in this tutorial today. Okay, so this is the starter code for the project. It creates a full screen Tkinter window, as well as imports the random module here, which we'll be using later on. And if you run the code, you should have a full screen window like this right here. The first step is to create the 2D tile map. So we'll need a canvas widget that we can draw the map onto. We'll need to initialize the canvas inside of the root class, and we'll also use highlight background and highlight thickness to give the canvas a black border. So inside of the root class here, we'll just do self.canvas is equal to canvas. The parent is going to be the root or self. Then we're going to set the border color, so highlight background is equal to black. And then we'll set the border thickness with highlight thickness is equal to 2. Then we'll display it while making sure it completely fills the root window and expands with it. So we'll do self.canvas.pack. Fill is equal to both, and expand equal to 1. If you run the code, you should see that the canvas has a black border around it now. Zooming a 2D tile map means changing how much of the world is visible on the screen. A tile map is made up of rectangular tiles that represent sections of the world. To create a zoom effect, we change the size of each tile. When tiles get smaller, more tiles fit on the screen, which creates the effect of zooming out. When tiles get larger, fewer tiles fit on the screen, which creates the effect of zooming in. What we need to do for this project is define the minimum and maximum number of tiles allowed on screen. So inside of the root class, we'll do something like up here, do self.min underscore tiles is equal to 11, and then self.max underscore tiles is equal to, we'll do 51. Okay. Then we'll set the starting map size to a number between min tiles and max tiles. It needs to be an odd number to keep the player position in the exact center tile later on. So down here we'll just do self.map underscore size is equal to 11. The next step is to draw the map tiles onto the canvas. So the next thing we'll do is add a method called draw underscore tiles to the root class. So just define draw underscore tiles self, and we'll just put pass for right now. So then we'll get the canvas's width and height. So we'll do canvas underscore width is equal to self.canvas.winfo underscore width, and then canvas underscore height is equal to self.canvas.winfo underscore height. Now we'll calculate the tile size by dividing the canvas width and height by the number of tiles on the map. So we'll do tile underscore width is equal to canvas underscore width divided by self.map underscore size. Then we'll do tile underscore height is equal to canvas underscore height divided by self.map underscore size. We need to store the rectangles that represent the tiles in a list so that we can modify them later. So let's create a list called tiles inside of the root class. So we'll just put it right here. So we'll do self.tiles is equal to an empty list. Now back inside of the draw tiles method, we want to draw the tiles only if the tiles list is empty. So right here we'll do if not self.tiles. Okay. Next we're going to delete any item on the canvas that has the tag tile. We'll tag every tile rectangle with the string tile so we can delete and rebuild them when zooming. So we'll do self.canvas.delete tile. Now we want to iterate through each Y or row in the map and create an empty list to store the rectangles for that row. So we'll do for sy in range self.map underscore size row is equal to an empty list. Then we want to iterate through each X inside of the row. So now we'll do for SX in range, self.map underscore size. Actually, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. All right. Next, we have to calculate the XY position for the top left corner of the tile. So we'll do TX is equal to SX times tile underscore width. TY is equal to SY times tile underscore height. Then we draw the rectangle on the canvas using the XY position while calculating the XY position of the bottom right corner. We'll also give it a tag called tile so that we can delete the rectangle later. All right, so we'll create our rectangle now with rectangle is equal to self.canvas.create underscore rectangle. Then we'll do TX, TY. Then we're going to be calculating the bottom right corner. So we'll do TX plus tile underscore width, and then TY plus tile underscore height. And finally, we'll tag it. So we'll set tags equal to tile. Okay. Now we'll store the rectangle inside of the row list and then store the row list inside of the tiles list. So underneath rectangle here, we'll do row.append rectangle. And then outside of that, we'll do self.tiles.append row. To get the tiles to show up on the canvas, we now need to create a method called update underscore map. This method will run every time we need the map to update. Do it right here above our draw underscore tile. We do define update underscore map self, and then we'll set event equal to none. And then inside of here, we'll do self.canvas.update underscore idle task. Okay. So what this does is it just simply updates the canvas. So then we'll call self.draw underscore tiles. And finally, we want to bind the update underscore map method to a configure event so that every time the canvas changes, the update underscore map is automatically called. So we'll do this inside of the root class. So we'll do self.bind configure, and then we'll do self.update underscore map. All right, so if you run the code, you should see a simple tile map drawn onto the canvas now. So now we're going to generate a simple terrain map and map it onto the tiles. So this will make it easier to tell when the map is being zoomed in and out and when the player is moving. So the terrain is going to be kind of like a grassland with random patches of water. So the first step is to create an empty list called map inside of the root class. So up here we'll do self.map equal to empty list. And then the next step is to create a new method called generate underscore map. So right here, we just do define generate underscore map and self. Okay. So inside of the method, we'll set how many patches of water we want. So we'll do water underscore patches underscore num. I do 15. Okay. Then we'll create a list that stores the XY coordinates for the water patch rectangles. So then we'll do blue underscore patches equal to an empty list. Next, we'll iterate through the number of patches that we want. So we'll do 4, we'll do a temporary variable here, in range, water underscore patches underscore num. Okay. Then we'll randomly select a width and height for each water patch. So we'll do width is equal to random.randint. 3 is the minimum, 7 will be the maximum, and then we'll do the same for height. Okay. Now we'll randomly select a position on the tile map for the water patch. Okay. So we'll do x is equal to random.randint 0 self.max underscore tiles minus width. And then we'll do y is equal to random.randint 0 comma self.max underscore tiles minus height. Okay. Next, we'll store the XY coordinates for the top left corner of the water patch and the bottom right corner of the water patch inside of blue patches. So we'll do blue underscore patches dot append. And then inside of here, we'll do x, comma, x plus width. And then we'll do y, and then y plus height. These are the coordinates for the top left corner of the water patch and the bottom right corner of the water patch. Now we need to create the full world and decide whether each tile is green grass or blue water. First, we'll loop through every tile position in the world. So we'll do for y in range, self.max underscore tiles, for x in range, self.max underscore tiles. Okay. So we'll start by assuming each tile is just grass. So we'll do tile underscore color is equal to green. Oops, green. All right, so now we check whether the tile is inside of any water patch. If the tile is inside a patch, we set it to blue and break out of the loop so we don't keep checking the other patches. Now we check whether the tile is inside a water patch. If the tile is inside a patch, we set it to blue and break out of the loop so we don't keep checking the other patches. Okay, so we do for x0, x1, y0, and then y1 in blue underscore patches. If x0 is less than or equal to x, and if that is less than x1, and if y0 is less than or equal to y, and if y is less than y1, then we'll make the tile color blue. And then after that, next we store the color inside of self.map. So right here, we'll do self.map.append tile underscore color. Okay. Now finally, we call generate map inside of root class. We'll just put it right here, self.generate underscore map. Now that we know which tiles are grass and which are water, we have to go back inside of the draw tiles method and visually update the tiles with the correct color. So go right here. Now first we have to get half of the map size. So we'll do half is equal to self.map underscore size divided by 2. Okay. Next, we need to loop through every tile currently visible on the screen. So we'll do for sy in range, self.map underscore size, and then we'll do for sx in range, self.map underscore size. Okay. Then we convert the screen tile position into the world position that it should display. So we do wx is equal to self.player underscore x minus half plus sx. And then after that, we'll do wy is equal to self.player underscore y minus half plus sy. Before we grab a color, we should make sure the world coordinates are valid. So if the player is near the edge of the world, some visible tiles will be outside the map bounds. So we'll handle that with if 0 is less than or equal to wx, and if wx is less than self.max underscore tiles, and if 0 is less than or equal to wy, and if wy is less than self.max underscore tiles. Okay. So if the tile is inbounds, we'll convert the world coordinates into an index and then use that index to get the correct color. So we'll do idx is equal to wy times self.max underscore tiles plus wx. Then we'll do color is equal to self.map, and then we'll pass in the index. Okay. Now if the tile is out of bounds, we'll just color it black. So we'll just do an else statement here. We'll do else color is equal to black. So now that we have the correct color, we need to update the correct rectangle on the canvas. First, we'll calculate where the rectangle should be drawn. So right here, we'll do tx is equal to sx plus tile underscore width, and then ty is equal to sy plus tile underscore height. Then we grab the correct rectangle from the self.tiles list. So we'll do rectangle is equal to self.tiles. We'll pass in sy and then sx. All right, so now we update the tile's position or the rectangle's position in color. So right here, we'll do self.canvas.coordinates. And then we have to pass in the rectangle or the item that we want to modify. So we'll do rectangle, tx, ty, tx plus tile underscore width, comma, ty plus tile underscore height, okay? And now for the color, we'll do self.canvas.item config, rectangle, fill is equal to color. So the last thing we have to do is set the default player XY coordinate inside of the root class. So we'll just place a player in the middle of the map. We'll just do self.player underscore x is equal to self.max underscore tiles divided by 2, and then we'll do self.player underscore y is equal to self.max underscore tiles divided by 2. Okay. All right, so we have to correct one little mistake that I made down here inside of draw tile. So right underneath here, underneath where we calculated half of the map size, take a look at tx and ty. Instead of a plus plus, it has to be multiply, multiply. Okay. All right, so now we can run our code. All right, so as you can see, our terrain map is showing up, and the great thing is that each time you run this code, I'll run it again, the map will look slightly different. All right, I'll just run it one more time. As you can see, every time it's different. The next step is to add the ability to zoom the map in and out. So inside the root class up here, we'll do this right above our configure here. We will bind the zoom functions to the plus and minus buttons. So we'll do self.bind plus self.zoom in. Then we'll do self.bind minus, I'm sorry, it has to be minus like this, I believe, self.zoom out. Okay. All right, so now we have to create the zoom in and zoom out methods. So we'll just go down here to the bottom, right here, and we'll do define zoom underscore out. Well, we'll start with in. Zoom in, self event is equal to none. Okay. So first we'll subtract the current map size by 2, right? So we'll do self.map underscore size minus equal 2. Then we'll make sure that the map size isn't less than the minimum amount of tiles that we allow. So we'll do if self.map underscore size is less than self.min underscore tiles, then we'll set map underscore size equal to self.min underscore tiles. Okay. Finally, we'll just clear the tiles list. So we'll do self.tiles is equal to an empty list, and then we'll update the map. So self.update underscore map. Okay. The zoom out method is similar, but instead we'll add 2 to the map size. So we'll do define zoom underscore out self event is equal to none, self.map underscore size plus equal to 2. Then we'll make sure the map size isn't greater than max tiles. So we'll do if self.map underscore size is greater than self.max underscore tiles. We do self.map underscore size is equal to self.max underscore tiles. Okay. Then again, we will clear out the tiles list. So self.tiles equal to an empty list, and then we'll update the map. So self.update underscore map. All right, so if you run the code, you should be able to press the minus button and have it zoom out like so. And then you should be able to press the plus button and have it zoom in like so. Okay. All right, so the next step is to draw the player on the map as a circle. So first we'll create a new method called draw underscore player. So we'll just do it right here. Above zoom in, define, draw underscore player self. Okay. So the player circle is going to be drawn in the middle of the center tile. So we need to calculate the tile's width and height. So we do tile underscore width is equal to self.canvas.winfo underscore width divided by self.map underscore size. And then we'll do tile underscore height is equal to self.canvas.winfo underscore height divided by map size. We're going to make the player circle half the size of the tile. So we'll do player underscore scale is equal to 0.5. So normally if the tiles aren't perfect squares, it causes the player circle to become an oval. So we'll kind of prevent this by either selecting the tile width or tile height, whichever is the smallest. Then we'll multiply the smallest value by the player scale to get the circle size. So let's do size equal to min tile underscore width tile underscore height, and then whatever is the smallest, we will multiply that by player underscore scale. Okay. So then we'll divide the size by 2 to get the circle's radius. So we'll do r is equal to size divided by 2. Next, we need to get the center tile of the map. So we'll do center is equal to self.map underscore size divided by 2. Now we need to calculate the exact middle of the center tile. Okay, so then we'll do cx is equal to center plus 0.5 times tile underscore width, and then cy is equal to center plus 0.5 times tile underscore height. Okay, so before drawing the player circle, we need to make sure one hasn't already been created. So we'll just do if not has attribute self player underscore item. All right. So if a player circle has not been drawn yet, then we want to draw one, obviously. So we'll use the center X and center Y to calculate the coordinates for the circle and then make it red. Okay. So we'll do self.player underscore item is equal to self.canvas.create underscore oval. Then we'll do cx minus r, cy minus r. So that is going to be the top, let's see, that's going to be the top left corner of the box that the circle is drawn in. And then we'll do cx plus r and then cy plus r. And so that's going to be the bottom right corner. Then finally, we'll make the circle red. Okay. All right, so now we want to handle the scenario of where the player circle has been created. So if the player circle has been created, we'll just update its coordinates, right? So we'll do self.canvas.coordinates, self.player underscore item. So that's the item that we want to update. Then we'll do cx minus r, cy minus r, cx plus r, and then cy plus r. Then we need to raise the player circle to the top layer of the canvas, or it will disappear behind the tiles whenever the map is updated. So down here, we'll just do self.canvas.tag underscore raise, and it will pass in self.player underscore item. Okay. Now finally, we'll call draw underscore player inside of the update method. All right, so underneath draw tiles, we'll just do self.draw underscore player. All right, so now if you run your code, you should see the player circle smack dab in the middle of the map, and you can still zoom in and out. And as you can see, as we zoom out, the circle gets smaller, and as we zoom in, it gets bigger. All right. Okay, so the last thing left to do is to add player movement. So we'll start with binding each of the arrow keys inside of the root class. So we'll just do this underneath our plus and minus bind. So we'll do self.bind left, self.move underscore left, right, self.move underscore right, up, self.move underscore up, down, self.move underscore down. Okay. All right, so of course now we have to go through each of these movement methods and create them. So we'll just go down here. We'll start with move underscore left. So we'll do define move underscore left self event is equal to none. Okay. So if player X is greater than 0 or not on the left edge of the map, we'll decrease player underscore X by 1 and then move the player left. Then we'll update the map. So we'll just do if self.player underscore X is greater than 0, self.player underscore X minus equal to 1, and then we will update the map. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this. All right, and change this to right. Okay. So we'll do the same thing with move right by making sure the player X isn't right up against the right edge of the map. Then we'll add 1 to move the player right. All right, so what we'll do is we'll do if player underscore X is less than self.max underscore tiles minus 1. Then we'll do player underscore X is plus equal to 1. And of course, we'll update the map. Okay. All right, so this is going to be move up. So before moving the player up, we'll make sure the player Y is up against the top edge, and then we'll subtract 1. So we'll do if self.player underscore Y is greater than 0. We'll do self.player underscore Y minus equal to 1, and then we'll update the map. All right, so the last one here. And this is move down. Finally, we'll make sure the player underscore Y isn't up against the bottom edge, and then add 1 to move the player down. So here we'll do player underscore Y is less than self.max underscore tiles minus 1. Then we do self.player underscore Y is plus equal to 1, and then of course we'll update the map. Alrighty, so now if you were in the code, you should have your player in the middle of the map. We'll zoom out a bit, and we should be able to move in all 4 directions without moving off of the map, like so. Alright, let's check this last edge here. Alright, so everything is good. Alright, so now you can zoom in, or let's zoom out, zoom in. You can kind of render the terrain here. We got the grass and the water, and of course you can move around the world. So this is a really solid foundation for bigger Tkinter projects. And that's pretty much it for this video, and thank you for watching.